I do believe. I've heard the 2-minute buzzer, so we're looking at Chris Harris as he emerges on the track. Interesting to see now, just you can see the water glistening. The track is very wet, and I'm sure it will present some problems, but Harris will need to make a start. Troy Batchelor there going around the bottom corner, just getting a feel. No practice. You never get any practice before a league event, so the first time you actually have an experience of the track racing surface is when you drop the clutch for the opening race.
So, yep, first race of the night coming up then here. It's all about mental attitude tonight. Who is going to be the strongest? They are the riders who will pull through tonight in tricky conditions, but Jim Lawrence, the meeting steward in charge of the decision to go at 8 o'clock after talking to both sets of riders, captains and management, and we've got a meeting to look forward to now here tonight at the Brandon Stadium. Who is going to prevail here? Big rider in Aaron Summers coming out in yellow, and Troy Batchelor in white for Swindon.
Well, they've got gates 2 and 4, and Aaron Summers is a super signing. Edward Kutchmar came in earlier on when they changed the team around when Darcy Ward was signed, but Kutchmar was unfortunate. He was just inexperienced in the Elite League and failed to really come up with the goods, and Aaron Summers knows the league very well indeed and has ridden for Coventry in the past, so that's been quite a handy signing for the Robins. Heat number 1, here we go.
Yep, here we go then, 1 and 3 to Swindon then. Going off the inside, it's Kyle Howarth for Coventry, I should say. It's 1 and 3 to Coventry. Aaron Summers goes off gate number 2 for Swindon. Chris Harris, gate number 3 in red for the Bees. And off the outside, it's Troy Batchelor for the Swindon Robins. So it'll be interesting to see how the riders get round here and how the track settles down.
Well, let's hope all the positive vibes coming out of the pits, Nige, prove to be correct. This is the acid test now. It is quite wet, it is quite gooey on the start line there. Harris just preparing himself right over the top of the handlebars. Heat number 1, here we go.
Who's going to make the start? It's all important going into heat number 1 here. And sure, it's all going wide, and Batchelor's gone down. Summers lost his control as well. And Graham Flint, the referee, has put the red lights on straight away.
Well, he had to. That was a tough first corner when you consider how difficult the conditions are. I tell you what, they roared into the first corner and they were bunched up. Aaron Summers pulled a massive locker, and there's no doubt that Batchelor on the outside felt the full effects there, but total commitment here. Batchelor just leaning all over. They got the better of Harris, but then Summers comes in there and he just, right out wide. It was very greasy and the back tire just lets go. He was just a victim of the conditions as they got to the first corner.
All 4 riders back from Graham Flint is the decision, we're told.
Yeah, he knows he's going down. Just slips off.
Yep, so
it's going to be tricky on the evidence of that. It is going to be very difficult. Visibility, I think, is going to be the most challenging aspect here. Not the ideal way for Troy Batchelor to start the meeting. But I'll tell you what, you can just see how committed riders were. They absolutely roared in there. It was 4 abreast, wasn't it, when they got there?
I think that just shows the desire and the passion that the riders have to get to that first turn first in these conditions. It's more important than ever to make the start, Kel.
It is, yeah. It's at a premium because, as you can see immediately, the amount of spray coming off the rear tyres, and that will interfere with your goggles. You've got plenty of tear-offs on, but if you can get to the front, of course, it will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Mechanics will just need to now just tidy that bike up.
Yeah, very much so. So Aaron Summers, a former Coventry rider who has piled up the points for Swindon since joining the side, of a very astute signing, because Kutchmar was struggling getting 1s and 2s, and Summers has been getting 7s, 8s and the occasional double figures.
I was surprised that Aaron Summers wasn't signed by an Elite League club. He was only riding for Glasgow for a long period this year, and he was frustrated. I spoke to him when we went up there, and he was disappointed that he hadn't been signed by an Elite League club, and now he has. I get the feeling he's taking the opportunity with both hands. Batchelor will just take his time a little bit. He's obviously covered in shale, and the helmet, goggles, bike will all need to be cleaned up a wee bit before they get the 2-minute warning. It won't be too much longer, but I just hope that this first race can go off without too much incident, because it did look quite wet when they went around that first corner.
Well, it's good to see this fella back in British Speedway. Peter Killerman, the Great Dane, is with our man Chris Louis.
Yeah, always an exciting man to watch, and Peter back with the Robins to help them out at the end of the season. Delayed start always makes the riders a little bit nervous, a little bit edgy, but the guys just got to the first turn altogether there, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a hard first turn, and fair play all 4 back there, and yeah, it seems like you have to stay on the bike if you have to keep playing.
How are you feeling about conditions? I mean, obviously, you know, no one's really tested them yet. They've only got to the first turn.
No, that's right, and we have to say.
Okay, and your time with the Robins, obviously, tragic reasons why you're here, but it's a team you know well. It's a good team, so looking to get some success at the end of the season here.
Yeah, absolutely not the way you want to get into the same, but yeah, now I'm here, and I'm glad to help the Robins out for the rest of the season. Yeah.
Great stuff. Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, I know Alan Rossiter was delighted to have Peter Killerman in touch so quickly because he was concerned and he still cares about Swindon and wanted to help out.
I think in the circumstances, you know, it was a gesture that Peter Kilderman could not make. I think out of respect to Darcy Ward and the club, of course he's ridden for Swindon for several seasons, so he agreed. And it's a great gesture because he's riding so well in the Grand Prix. And there's no question he has an outside chance of making the top 8 and qualifying as a fully fledged Grand Prix rider. So he deserves a pat on the back for agreeing so very quickly to come back to Britain.
Very much so. Now Troy Batchelor is here then, the man who was the casualty of the original staging of heat number 1. Graham Flint will put the 2-minute time allowance on very soon, I'm sure.
Well, they've been quite generous there, and rightly so, because you can see that he was absolutely smothered in shale, and he's got a fresh pair of goggles on. Well, and it's important that you get the bike right, and I think there's just a little bit of added time being allowed because of the conditions.
So you saw there Pool 10 up on Kings Lynn now, so Pool looking good. Just to confirm, Coventry will be in the playoffs if they win, or if they get a draw and Kings Lynn lose at Pool. Swindon will be in the playoffs tonight with a win, or if they draw and Kings Lynn lose at Pool. So that's the basics. Apologies if you heard any language that may have offended you whilst we were down in the pits there. But the riders ready to race. Second time of asking here. Heat number 1. Let's hope that they can get further than the first turn this time. The riders desperate to make it with the tricky conditions. A reminder, Swindon have already been here in recent times and pulled off a fantastic win. Coventry have won 14 of their Elite League meetings so far, plus 2 draws. They were the form team at one stage.
They were, and they've had a little bit of a dip at one point when we saw them earlier this year, then recovered, and then their injuries hit in, and that was they were just sort of halted their momentum momentarily, but when they're at full strength, I get the feeling that they will be a real force come the playoffs. Carl Howarth, we've spoken about Aaron Summers. Carl Howarth, really unlucky actually to be dropped out of the Swindon team, but they had to do something, and it was a tough decision for the management there, but I'm chuffed to bits that a young British rider's been signed up again.
Yeah, very much so. It was an impossible choice, and Alan Rossiter, who is the Great Britain team manager, took quite a bit of stick for releasing a young British rider, but really the bottom line is he had to go with his Swindon duties, Alan Rossiter, and the right decision was made, because you couldn't really release Gregor Zengotta, who's been in double figures all through.
Zengotta was scoring maximums at the time, and so really and truly for them to have dropped him, it would have been the wrong call. But good to see Carl with a job here in the Elite League again.
Agreed, very much so. Good rider, Kyle Howarth. Heat number 1, second time of asking here at the Brandon Stadium then. First race of the night. Delayed start until 8 o'clock, but we're ready for a second staging of heat number 1. Here we go. Who's going to make that start? Batchelor's done all right off the outside, but Harris has got there. He's followed by Kyle Howarth in blue. They're on a 5-1 early on here. The home side with Aaron Summers in third in yellow and black, and Troy Batchelor is at the back now. Chris Harris looking comfortable. Always good to have the lead in these conditions, and looking pretty comfortable so far.
Chris Harris is an amazing character. Absolutely full-blooded effort from him. Aaron Summers up the inside of Carl Howard. Fantastic racing for second and third. Wasn't expecting that. Aaron Summers through in a second place. That's a fabulous effort from him. Harris is out in front. He's flying. Troy Batchelor was beaten up in the first corner, but he's coming on strong now. But Aaron Summers has an excellent move.
Yep, great move from Aaron Summers in these conditions. Chris Harris has got the race under control as we go into the last lap of the first race of the night. Harris for the Bees. Second in yellow and black is Aaron Summers, who has passed Kyle Howarth. Troy Batchelor clearly struggling with vision at the back, filled in, no doubt about it. But Chris Harris, superstar. For Chris Harris, the skipper of the Coventry Bees. We have a race under our belt, and Coventry have a 4-2 advantage under their belt as well.
They do indeed, and Chris Harris, you wouldn't have expected anything less. Absolutely full-blooded effort there in heat number 1, and it paid big dividends, and he pulled off a super win. Aaron Summers was a real entertainer, getting the better of Carl Howarth for second place. But Harris, you know, he is the man to have. If you want a man in the trenches, just call Chris Harris up, because he's the man.
Yep, super stuff from Chris Harris. Punches the air in front of the main grandstand here at the stadium here at Coventry, where the rain did come down for half an hour here at Brandon, but thankfully we have a meeting 4-2 in favour of the Coventry Bees. Remember, the winners of this meeting will book their place in the playoffs. Chris Harris the winner, Aaron Summers second, Carl Howarth was third, and Troy Batchelor trailed in at the back. Coventry 4, Swindon 2 after the first race of the night. And the reserve riders ready to get out there for heat number 2.
Yeah, they're on their way, but we'll just have a quick look at the first race again. Harris makes a super start, followed by Carl Howarth, and I thought for all intents and purposes it would then be a 5-1, particularly when you consider the conditions. Batchelor this time just can't quite get there and gets hung high and wide and filled in quite severely coming off that first corner. But Aaron Summers is a star here. He rides really nicely right round the inside, and Carl Howarth is taken by surprise, and the Australian gets the better of the Englishman and gets himself into second place, and that was a very useful 2 points for the Swindon Robins. But Harris was exceptional.
Yeah, good ride from Chris Harris. Had the race under control, really brave in the first turn, really got stuck in. So, 4 reserve riders ready for action for heat 2, but before we get that, here's Chris Louis.
Thanks, Nigel. Yeah, just going to try and grab a word with Chris. Chris, you've experienced the conditions, albeit it was easy for you. You were out in front.
Yeah, I made a not the best start, but I managed to get the bike pulled to the corner, so which these GTRs do. So I'm very happy with that.
I think it was telling in the first attempt to run that one. All 4 of you guys wanted to get there, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. It was a bit tight going in, but I managed to get there with them, and obviously, unfortunately, backs went down, but lucky is right, and we got 4-2 in the rerun.
Great stuff. Good luck.
Thank you.
There we go with heat number 2. Charles Wright goes off the inside in white for Swindon. Jason Garrity, the man that everybody's talking about, he goes off gate 2 in red for the Bees. Gate 3 is Lewis Rose back in the side for Swindon after injury. Gate 3 in yellow. And James Sargent going off the outside in the blue helmet colour. This is heat number 2.
James Sargent's an interesting character. We've seen him jumping the start on occasion. He needs to be a little bit more patient.
Yep. Away from the start, they go into that first turn. Garrity has got the drop. Now Sargent is going to try and come around the outside of Charles Wright, who holds second, and Lewis Rose has just nipped up the inside of James Sargent into third place. But Jason Garrity made the start. Had a week off with a back injury, missed meetings for Coventry and Sheffield, but my goodness me, he's looking good here.
Yeah, super start from Jason, and he's roaring away out in front. Good move from Wright to get himself into second place, and then certainly out the back, James Sargent just got battled earlier on. Lewis Rose, I'm pleased to see him get amongst the points, because we saw him have a nasty crash at Swindon, and this is his first meeting back after the broken scaphoid. But Garrity out in front, he's got it pretty much under control.
Yep, Jason Garrity started his career with the Buxton Hitmen in the National League as a raw novice, and riders obviously just struggling to maintain control with the tricky conditions. Charles Wright has been in trouble a couple of times. Garrity's got the race under control though. It's going to be a 3-all. Garrity takes the checkered flag. Second place, Charles Wright. Third there was Lewis Rose, and at the back, James Sargent. So close after a couple here. 2 points separate the sides.
Yeah.
And Jason Garrity proving that it's certainly better to lead from the front in these conditions.
Oh, massively, absolutely massively. It is very wet, and it's going to get greasy, and the track possibly will get a little bit worse before it gets better. And you could see that with Charles Wright just getting into a few problems during the race.
He was, yep. Garrity the winner. Charles Wright held on though for second. Lewis Rose was third, and James Sargent at the back. It's 3-all. 2 heats gone in this big match at Brandon. Coventry leads Swindon 7 points to 5.
Well, Garrity out of gate 2 makes it look very easy. He gets to the first corner, and he's pretty much stamps his authority immediately. Charles Wright comes through into second place immediately, and then Lewis Rose coming out of gate 3. He doesn't make the start. The man in the yellow and black helmet colour, they've gone out of shot now, and he then is able to slip up the inside of James Sargent as they come off the first corner, and he holds on to third place, and that makes it into a 3-all. But Garrity, he's good at winning in the heat number 2. He looks good there again here.
Well, let's hear what he's going to say about it. He's with Chris Louis.
Well, Jason, you got where you wanted to be straight away. Fantastic start from gate 2.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if I jumped it, but I don't think I did. I think I was just concentrating on the start so much that I made a perfect start. And you know, today is all about making starts, and but to be honest, the track's got a bit of drive in it, and yeah, hopefully we go out there and enjoy it, but it's wet anyway, that's for sure.
Jason, you're not supposed to admit when you may have jumped the start, you're just supposed to say it was a great start, but conditions, will they improve quickly, do you think?
Yeah, I hope so, because the inside's kind of grippy coming off, so hopefully I picked up a bit on one bend, but yeah, I want to get out there and carry on anyway.
Have fun.
Thank you, mate, appreciate it.
He's a character, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever admit to jumping the start. I'm sure I'd be on the phone to the referee immediately. Mr. Tatum, sit still. But
Did that happen very often in your career?
Oh, never with me, Nigel. Always well behaved at the start.
Yep, okay, we believe you. Thousands one. Heat number 3 is coming up here. By the way, 21-9 to Poole after heat 5 at Kings Lynn, and Niels Christian Everson going on a tactical ride. So not looking good for the Stars on a second successive night. Here we go with heat 3 here. Max Frick goes off the inside for Coventry as a guest for Jonas Kilmacorpy, who crashed in Denmark last Friday. Gregor Zengotta goes off gate number 2 in yellow. Danny King, gate 3 red for Coventry, and Nick Morris outside in white. The injury to Kilmacorpy is interesting. He's ridden in every Elite League meeting for Coventry. The first time he's missed one tonight, but a good choice of guest in Frick.
Yeah, Frick is a handy replacement. Kilmacorpy has a back injury.
Yep, and it's a good start by Frick off the inside gate. Now what can Zengotta do around the outside? Nick Morris is in there in white, and Danny King has been forced out at the back, but this is a good start from Max Frick, who rides for Bellevue, but he's a guest replacement for Kilmacorpy this evening. He made a really super start there, Max Frick, the young Australian, and he has the lead from Swindon again, packing the minor placings.
Yeah, well, this is all right for Swindon, really. It's even Stevens in this heat, just 2 points between the teams. Overall, Max Frick very sharp away from the tapes and is running quite well, although he just straightened up momentarily with Zengotta, who's been in fine form for the Robins throughout the year. He's pushing hard in second place. But yeah, Frick coming in to replace Kilmacorpy, riding well here. This is just what the home team needed from him.
Yep, Max Frick looking good. Just hitting a bit of trouble going into the first turn. He goes wide.
Whoa,
Zengotta charging up the inside here. Can Zengotta pull through? Frick holds the line brilliantly though there, to be fair. He hit trouble in turn 1 in the last lap, but then held the inside line, and he had to do it there, Max Frick, because Zengotta was really charging under him.
Yeah, Zengotta's a rider full of confidence and was just ready to pounce at any moment. Half a mistake from Frick, and he very nearly threw that win away. All credit to the young Australian. He was able to recover in the bottom corner for the last time and ride defensively and keep the Polish rider at bay. But Zengotta these days, well, he's a hard man to beat.
Certainly is. Max Frick the winner. Good ride in the end from him to hold out Gregor Zengotta. Nick Morris was third, Danny King at the back. It's a 3-all once again. 3 heats gone. Coventry 10, Swindon 8. Close ball so far.
Yeah, smashing start from the inside from Frick. We'll see him now come charging with the blue helmet colour into the first corner. Zengotta alongside him. And Danny King gets pushed out wide and he can't land a blow. And Nick Morris comes into the third place and just is rides sensibly there. Frick then, just as you rightly said, Nigel, a couple of times coming into the first corner, found it a bit tricky, ran wide, and that allows Zengotta up the inside. And I thought for a moment the Polish boy was going to hang on there, but all credit to Frick, he's able to recover. He then slams the door shut. And he hangs on to the win. This was the moment, but just not quite enough for Zengotta to stamp his authority on the race. But Frick, an excellent opening ride from him.
Certainly was from Max Frick, who has certainly plied his trade in the early stages of his career with the Edinburgh Monarchs. Won trophies with them. It was a huge favourite, of course, riding for Bellevue this year as well. And now we move into Heat 4 and an interesting showdown between Hans Andersen in red, Peter Kilderman goes in white. The battle of the Danes, and this will be worth watching for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hans Andersen, of course, a former Grand Prix rider and a former Grand Prix winner, up against a present-day Grand Prix rider and Grand Prix winner in Peter Kilderman. So, yeah, quite an interesting matchup. Of course, Hans Andersen will very keen to get one over his compatriot. A lot of rivalry between the Danish boys, I can assure you of that. They're quite an interesting group of riders, actually. When they come together to ride the World Cup, they're fantastic. They really do pull together. But when they race against each other, there really isn't very much love lost at all. Did you get a bit filled in there, Nigel?
I did, yeah. Who was it? It was somebody just down below us.
It was. I got filled in as well.
Yeah, Luce Shale that has just come toward the studio. No sympathy from the viewing audience, no doubt. Heat number 4. Messing my hair up. Here is Hans Andersen, title winner with Swindon in 2012.
Yep.
He was a huge favourite at the Abbey Stadium, But here at Coventry as well, a second string rider. He's not in the 1, 3 or 5 position for Coventry, which is a bit of a surprise. And the same with Killerman as well, riding in number 4.
Yeah, well, Peter Kilderman quite clearly just didn't finish last season as well as he would have liked, but this year so far he's been in fantastic form on the continent. And as I say, winning his home Grand Prix in Horsens 3 weeks ago, that really was his biggest moment in his career so far. So Kilderman is a real force to be reckoned in World Championship Speedway. Be interesting to see how he gets on in these tricky conditions here in Britain, but he has plenty of experience, of course, now.
Well, you guess the riders who've already been out in a race.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think it might be Mr. Sargent.
Heat number 4 it is then. It's Lewis Rose off the inside. Going off gate number 2 in blue is James Sargent for Coventry. Peter Killerman goes off gate number 3 in white. And Hans Andersen is off that outside gate. Number 4 in the red helmet colour. Long way to the first turn from gate 4 in these conditions, Kel.
Yeah, that makes it even more demanding. You only have to be in gate 3, you only have to be alongside the man. As you turn in, you will gain an advantage. So the pressure is on Anderson to make a really good start.
Here we go with heat number 4 then.
Sargent jumped that.
Yeah, the red lights are on. Red lights are on, so we'll have to see that again. Second time of asking.
James Sargent, I mentioned it before heat 2, Nigel. We have seen him jumping the starts on quite a regular basis.
Let's take a look.
See, he's done it again, and I actually think it's a bad habit that he's got into, because it's a very high-risk strategy, and the referee will never allow you to get away with it. That's the thing. When it's that clear-cut, Nigel, you'll never get away with it. So don't quite understand his mindset.
Yeah, it's something that has happened quite regularly this year with James Sargent. It's certainly a chink in his armour, and I am told, by the way, from down in the pits area, that Alan Rossiter, the Swindon team manager, has made his feelings known about Coventry's, or certain Coventry riders starting. Maybe alerting the referee to watch certain riders, but maybe James Sargent fits into that category, who knows. But Alan Rossiter has had words down in the pits.
He may have had a word about Jason Garrity, because he pretty much admitted to it, didn't he? Live on television, so there may have been a conversation about that. It was very clear that young James Sargent moved then. I think that I do find it slightly confusing why James keeps doing it, because he's only penalising himself. He probably feels a bit nervous and he's desperate to try and get away as quickly as he can, but too often he's actually anticipating the start.
Well, here we go again then. Second time of asking. Heat number 4. Coventry leads Swindon by 2 points here at Brandon Stadium. It's a good start for Peter Killerman now in the white helmet colour. Has the lead, charging up the inside in yellow and black is Lewis Rose. Oh,
flash!
Dear, oh dear, it looks as though there may have been a chain coming off there.
Well, it was the footrest, I think, from the Swindon rider, who goes straight into the side of...
and the red lights are on now. Yep. Red lights are on.
So Lewis Rose runs into the side of Hans Andersen. I get the feeling he would have pulled the rear chain off. He has.
There you go.
And the rear footrest, I think, went in there. It was a heavy clash halfway down the straight, and very fortunate that both riders stayed on.
Very much so. I thought it was going to end in tears there.
In actual fact, Nigel, I think it's both chains, both front and rear chains have been taken off. Peter Kilderman just about got away with that. He did move before the tapes went up. Graham Flint, the referee, lets it go. Lewis Rose on the inside, crash there. Oh, nasty one, with the footrest clashing in there and ripping the chains off Hans Andersen's bikes. And that was very fortunate that neither rider goes down. Look, footrest goes right into the back chain and just pulls both off. And that would have done quite some considerable damage. And Lewis Rose, right foot, well, he's very fortunate that the foot is still engaged with the rest of his leg. Look at that, straight into the back wheel and pulls the chain off.
Is there an exclusion here? What do you think?
That's a difficult one, isn't it?
Somebody got to go? There's no exclusion light on.
Well, no real malice there, and I've got to say, it's a racing incident. Both chains have come off and a lot of damage to Hans Andersen.
Hans Andersen has been disqualified for this.
Oh, he's going to feel aggrieved. I guess he does pull a locker and come back towards Lewis Rose.
The home fans are furious.
I can imagine they are. But he does sort of pull a locker and close the door, but he's going to feel very upset.
Well, Hans Andersen excluded for being the primary cause of the stoppage. That is the decision from Graham Flint, the referee here tonight, making that decision. So we are only going to have 3 riders in that restart, with Hans Andersen disqualified. Gary Havelock will be furious. The fans here, the Coventry fans, weren't happy with that.
As he was coming out of the corner, he was sort of leaning across, and the bike did sort of actually pull a little bit of a locker on the way out of the corner, and that sort of meant that he came back towards Lewis Rose, and quite possibly that's why the referee has excluded him.
Wow, let's see it again, Kelvin.
See it now. Anderson's on the outside. He's aware of the rider on the inside. There's the problem. He just locks up momentarily, and then, of course, Rose is coming off the corner and they clash. No way he meant it.
Could he put all 4 back in?
Yeah, we saw it in the Grand Prix, of course, but the bike just literally almost aquaplanes. It's not the rider's fault that it's done that. Conditions have certainly played their part there.
Well, if conditions have played their part, should that not have been taken into consideration with the decision?
Absolutely should have done. Absolutely, and the right call there probably should have been 4 riders back.
Gary Havelock talking to Graham Flint as we speak. He's not going to change his mind. Referees very rarely do.
Very unusual if he does.
Well, I'm sure Gary will have 1 or 2 words to say about that. Here's Chris Louis.
Gary, you've spoken to the referee. Exactly how did he explain that situation?
Not very well, to be honest, Chris. First of all, we're back to the James Sargent being victimised in the first stage of the race. OK, people say he might have gone before the tapes, but he wasn't rolling and he didn't touch the tapes. In the second replay, Kilderman was rolling and moved before the tapes went up. And he said, oh, I never saw that. He said, I've excluded Red because he was the cause of the stoppage. I said, yeah, but the race should have been stopped before that incident even occurred. And at the end of the day, the guy's footrest went in our rider's chains. What's he supposed to do about that?
So basically he's saying that Hans turned left because, I mean, Lewis Rose didn't particularly turn right, so somebody has to be at fault.
Well, basically it's down to his Coventry again. We'll just exclude all their riders, Chris.
All right, well, thanks, Gary.
Enough. Well, very interesting there. You called it about Peter Kilderman, Kelvin, there, moving at the start, and Graham Flint has told Gary Havelock, according to Havelock, that he didn't see that. But you called it. You said Kilderman jumped the start, and therefore it should have been pulled back.
Yeah, he got away with it. He moved and then gained an advantage and hit the start. I disagree with Gary about James Sargent. Sargent is anticipating the starts, and I don't wish to see it, but we've seen it on too many occasions. There was a clear indication when we were at King's Lynn. You'll see Peter Kilderman, he moves there quite clearly.
That is where I agree with Havelock.
Oh, absolutely,
Definitely.
yeah. He has a valued argument in that regard. The incident with Hans Andersen should have been all 4 back because conditions are really tricky, and we're fortunate to have a meeting.
We are indeed. So we go with heat number 4, and it's 3 riders only then here with no Hans Andersen. And as you called it as well, when we were showing replays of the incident there, it's just thankfully that nobody's body parts were involved.
Well, yeah, because it was sort of on the way down the back straight. They're beginning to pick up a lot of speed, and often in those situations we see riders come down in quite a dramatic fashion. So good fortune for those 2 riders, but not in the respect that Anderson got excluded.
Lewis Rose off the inside, James Sargent going off 2. Peter Kilderman goes off gate 3. Both Sargent and Kilderman have got quick getaways, shall we say, in the early stages tonight. Sargent was pulled back for it, and Kilderman wasn't. They are the facts as it stands. A little bit of niggle creeping in here. Pressure now on James Sargent for Coventry. Here we go. Just the 1 Coventry rider. Kilderman's made a decent start. Sargent will settle in for 2nd place here with Lewis Rose 3rd, and if it stays like this, the meeting will be level at 12 apiece. Kilderman now, this will be interesting to see how he glides around this surface. Classy campaigner, winner of the Grand Prix in Horsens, stage in Horsens in Denmark for the first time ever in front of 13,000 fans just 3.5 weeks ago, and looking very comfortable here.
And it was quite a dramatic night. He actually had 3 crashes that night, but still managed to pick himself up and win the final, so a fabulous effort. It looks very impressive out in front. Pretty easy race for him on paper in real terms, and he's looking comfortable. Sargent settled in 2nd place. Lewis Rose back from a nasty injury, settling in 3rd place, but Kilderman out in front. Really and truly, he should win this race, and he's going to win it quite comfortably.
Yeah, Yeah, Kellerman almost a length of a straight ahead here, as you would have expected, with all due respect to Sargent and Rose.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a 4-2 to Swindon, and that will level the match. 4 heats gone here now at Brandon, and Swindon have brought it back. Many people will argue it's with a touch of good fortune because of the refereeing decisions there in heat number 4.
It happens.
It happens. It's Speedway, and you have to deal with it. It's the way it is, and referees don't change their mind either.
Well, there are human beings involved, and you know, everybody has different opinions, and certainly you could argue that one all night long. But the bottom line is that Swindon Robins level the match up.
Killerman, Sargent, Rose, Anderson disqualified. It's a 4-2 to Swindon. Levels it up here after 4 heats. Coventry Bees 12, Swindon Robins 12. The winner of this match books their place in the end of season playoffs. So 4 heats gone here at Brandon, then tricky conditions, but the boys are getting on with it. And we'll be back with heat number 5 in a few moments' time. Welcome back to the Brandon Stadium, where we have got a meeting despite some heavy rain earlier on, and it's close. We've had crashes, we've had controversy. Chris Harris getting off to a great start for the Coventry Bees, and Jason Garrity, as you would expect, in fine form in heat number 2. Max Frick won heat number 3 as well, but then we saw Peter Killerman for Swindon winning the rerun of heat 4 after this controversial exclusion for Hans Andersen in red. It means that after 4 heats here at Brandon, it's Coventry 12, Swindon 12. Winners of this meeting tonight book their place in the playoffs. It's as simple as that. Heat number 5 coming up then. Up to the start line they are already, keen to get on with it here. It's a bit of a chilly night as well, it has to be said, with the rain that we've had earlier. But thankfully we've got some racing, and that's what it's all about. These two sides meet again tomorrow night, by the way, at Swindon, at the Abbey Stadium. And Poole demolishing Kings Lynn at Wimborne Road, 41-21. So another big leap forward for Poole to finish top of the table and have choice of opponents in the playoffs. Summers, Howard, Wright and Garrity is the lineup for heat number 5.
Yeah, interesting matchup once again on the inside, with Summers getting the better of Howarth in their opening encounter. I wonder which way it will go now. Howarth is certainly a very forthright rider, and I expect him to be out for revenge here.
Yep, here we go then. This is heat number 5, and it's a good start for Swindon in white with Aaron Summers. Now, coming up the inside, it's Kyle Howarth in red for Coventry. Third here in yellow and black, Charles Wright, and Jason Garrity this time is at the back. But Aaron Summers, who knows this track inside out, former Coventry rider, has done a lot of laps round here, proving to be a decent signing for Swindon as well. Has the lead, and the Robins are on a 4-2.
Well, he jumped out of gate 1. There's one rut there, and he went in it and absolutely leapt forward, and he's out in front. Coming into the first corner is a little tricky. He gets it right this time. He went very well. He's come to Howarth in second place. Charles Wright third. Garrity this time just shows you how valuable making starts are, because Garrity missed it this time and he's out the back. But Aaron Summers is proving to be a very useful signing for the Swindon Robins on the run-in.
Yeah, this will make Aaron Summers up to 5 points from 2 rides, and that is a great effort, with all due respect to the man he replaced, Edward Crutchmar. Crutchmar would have struggled, I'm sure, to get anywhere near that, but Summers is the man. He has pulled off a fantastic ride for Swindon, and they take the lead for the first time tonight, with Garrity struggling at the back there. It's so hard when you miss the start in these conditions. But just a quick thought, the track does look nice and smooth, Kelvin. That is what's going in its favour.
It does from here, Nige.
Okay, fair enough.
We're a fair way away. Yes, by and large, I think the base of the track is very good. It hasn't penetrated, it hasn't gone gooey. But you can see Aaron Summers was certainly very confident out there.
So a big win for Aaron Summers. Kyle Howarth was second, Charles Wright third, Jason Garrity at the back. It's a 4-2 to Swindon, who lead for the first time tonight, 16 points to 14.
Yeah, great effort from the man on the inside. Absolutely leaps out of the start. Garrity this time doesn't. He's on the outside. It's a long way from there, and he gets out-battled into the first corner, and it's very greasy. Summers round the inside, doesn't put a foot wrong, wins comfortably. Howarth into second place. The battle between the two number 2s so far going the way of Aaron Summers. He's got 2-0 up in that regard, and he's comfortable in front here once again. The Australian really riding very nicely here this evening and doing a great job. There he is. Lovely hairstyle. Chris is down there with him.
Over to you, Chris.
It's not his real hair, it's part of the hat, so he'll take that off, his hair's gone. Aaron, conditions are tough, but you look like you're enjoying yourself. You cracking start off gate 1, looked like that rut went all the way to the corner.
Yeah, just changed the setup a little bit. It was a bit too spinny in the first one still, and it worked really good. The conditions aren't really ideal out there, and so I knew when I made that start, it's a lot easier in the front when you can see.
Well, you made a pass in the first race as well, so I mean, you're fully committed to the conditions.
Yeah, so you can't just ride at half-assed really, so that was good. Still got the second and then the win there, so hopefully it continues.
You've had a couple of rides now, track conditions obviously improving, the inside line looks like it is dry underneath, but the dirt line, nobody's really venturing out there because it's still maybe a little bit slimy.
Yeah, it's a little bit sketchy coming in still, and then if you run off that line you can feel the difference of it, but when it's down at the base it's starting to ride all right now.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yes, thank you. Bye, Oak.
Maybe these extra points in the Elite League, he'll be able to afford to go to the hairdressers, Nige. It certainly hasn't been in the last few weeks. But
Calvin, it's fashionable for the youngsters. Are you not aware of that?
OK, you'll have to let me know all about it, Nige.
OK, heat number 6, Danny King then, goes off the inside in red. Gate number 2 is Troy Batchelor in the white helmet colour for Swindon. Hans Anderson, gate 3 in blue for Coventry, and Gregor Zengotta going off the outside in yellow and black. Swindon lead by 2. Coventry will be looking to bounce back from gates 1 and 3 here.
Yeah, they will do. You know, all of a sudden Swindon, who were a little bit tentative or a little bit cautious about starting this meeting, got to say that now it has. They're showing good form. Hans Anderson now, of course, on his second bike after the first one being wrecked going down the back straight when he clashed with Lewis Rose. Troy Batchelor, who had a tough opening ride as well, he comes out here. And he's changed his equipment because that looks a lot cleaner than the other one that's parked up in the pits. It's covered in shale, where he didn't make the start, but he'll be looking to get away. It really is imperative that you can make a good start. You can hit the front. You just saw in the previous race, Aaron Summers was comfortable and several, at least 50 metres in front. Here we go.
Yep, here we go with heat number 6 then. Can Coventry bounce back? Hans Anderson will be really keen after a controversial exclusion in his opening ride. He's nice and clean. He's on a new bike there quite clearly. And here we go with heat number 6. Take tries, and it's a good start from the man in white. That's Troy Batchelor, the number 1 for Swindon. He has the lead early on here. Now what can Zengotta do in yellow and black? He's really challenging hard on Danny King. It's Zengotta at the back. It's a 3-all as things stand at the moment. But what a start from the man in white. Troy Batchelor, super getaway. And Zengotta now is going to try his best to get past Danny King, but it's a 3-all as things stand.
Yeah, it's really tough when you come off in the middle of the track in the first corner. It's wet and slippery. Great effort from Batchelor. Really made a super start out of gate 2, and once again, once the rider gets to the front, it really does enable you to snap your authority, and he's pulling away comfortably. Anderson on his spare bike, comfortable in second place. Danny King hanging on for third, but King cannot afford to make a mistake because Zengotta, he's out of the points right now, but he'll hunt him down right to the checkered flag.
Yep, Zengotta is getting closer here. There's a battle at the back. No doubt that Batchelor has got the race under control for the Swindon Robins. They will maintain a 2-point lead here. Batchelor's the man, the skipper for Swindon. And the number 1, he got a last place in his opening ride, but he's just got a win under his belt. Super getaway from Troy Batchelor with the victory there. Hans Anderson in second. Yeah. Danny King fighting off the challenge of Gregor Zengotta for a 3-all.
And it's very important that the rider wins out of gate 2 there, Troy Batchelor, because gate 4 this evening so far with these really tricky, greasy conditions is proving to be a real challenge. Zengotta, Jason Garrity in the previous race, both failing to score, but Batchelor out of gate 2, well, that was a really classy ride from him.
It certainly was. Batchelor the winner with Hans Anderson second, Danny King third, and Gregor Zengotta at the back at 3-all. It means it's Coventry B 17, Swindon Robins 19.
Yeah, the tapes are up and away they go, and Batchelor's bike really digs in, and that's such a super feeling, and he gets to that first corner, he knows where the dirt is, tapes up again, bike's roaring to the first corner. Batchelor out of gate 2, makes it his, stamps his authority, hugs the inside. Anderson on the spare bike into second place. Bit of battling there early on between King and Zengotta, but Zengotta's caught in the wrong place. But Batchelor, once he hits the front, he pulls further and further away, and the Australian will be really pleased with that because that was a captain's performance.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to Troy Batchelor. I think he's been busy watching a replay of that race, though. He did it in style, Chris.
Yeah, he has. He's been admiring his work, and I've got to say, Troy, I've never seen a man quite so determined to get to that first turn. You really worked the bike hard.
I think after eating dirt in the first one, I didn't want to taste it again.
Was that a fresh bike? Did you do any damage or?
Nah, just some fresh covers, try and make it look a bit better, but you need a gate. The track's obviously, it is what it is, and it's pretty tough work, so, you know, starts are crucial today, and, you know, need to make a few more of them and get out in front, but I think my bike's working good. It's kind of hard to tell when going down the straight, you kind of at full revs, some bits, and then the next minute it's taken off, so, you know, I think it's okay, won't change too much, and go make a few more starts.
For a team that weren't that keen to ride early doors, you guys are committed.
Yeah, I don't know what the score is. 19,
You're 2 up.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. There's no advantage for anyone. I think maybe the gates might come into it because I don't think gate 4 is very good. But, you know, 2 and 3 seem really good. So we'll see how it plays out, and we've got pick and E15 if we need it.
Thanks, Troy.
Thanks.
Great effort from the Robins. You know, there was the discussion whether the effects of Darcy Ward would rather dampen the mood in the Robins camp. I tell you what, they're riding for him. They are fired up, and a great effort in difficult conditions so far by both teams.
Chris Harris off the inside in red, a winner first time out. Nick Morris, gate 2 in white for Swindon. Max Frick also a winner first time out for Coventry, goes off gate 3. And Peter Killerman off the outside in yellow and black. Kings Lynn heading for defeat at Poole. Now that would mean that a draw here would be enough for both these sides to book their place in the playoffs, but they won't be interested in that. They're going for the victory.
No, gate 4 has been a graveyard so far. Just so you can win a race from the other 3, but certainly there's no question that I think it's Peter Kilderman this time. It is, isn't it? Peter Kilderman goes from the outside, so the start marshal's not happy at all. He wants him to move over. Kilderman is insisting that I'm starting from there because I can see that somebody started already from there. He has moved over, but he won't be happy with that. It's very greasy. Everybody rides over there, so it will be very wet and greasy without too much dirt. Can Kilderman come up with a miracle?
Well, here we go. The red lights are on straight away. Looks like an unsatisfactory start once again on that occasion, and that's bad news for Nick Morris, who made a beauty.
Was it him that jumped?
Was it him that jumped, though? That's the key. We can't see from here in our studio.
I was looking at Peter Kilderman head on just to see how he got on, so we'll have a good look. This will be the ideal view. Nick Morris a little bit keen to get away, and Graham Flint, the referee, feels he's gained an advantage with that. Although in actual fact the tapes have moved, so he's a little bit hard done by there. Marginal.
And all 4 riders are back to the start.
Now in actual fact, I look at that again, I would say that's a fantastic start from Morris.
But then Gary Havelock would argue that's no different to what James Sargent did earlier.
Sargent moves before then.
Okay, here we go with heat number 7. And all 4 riders back for the restart. 1917, the Swindon Robins lead here at the Brandon Stadium. Just a reminder then, once we get confirmation that Kings Lynn have not scored a point at Poole tonight, a league point, a draw for both these clubs here at Brandon would be enough to book their playoff place. Yeah,
disappointing couple of days for Kings Lynn. They've had a tough season, as you said before, Nigel, with injuries, and they've battled on and they've been hanging in there, but the defeat last night really was a gutting experience for them, and then to follow that up with the pressure of going to Wimborne Road, the champions, the home of the champions, quite clearly has proved too much, and really and truly they've got to keep their fingers crossed now that Bellevue don't win at Wolverhampton next Monday, but it will be interesting to see how that plays out. Riders now just allowing their goggles to getting a little bit of air under their goggles. On a night like this, the goggles can steam up very easily. Track conditions are improving a little bit. The outside line, I think, is going to be difficult to use. It's very wet and greasy out there.
Yep, heat number 7 it is then, and Killerman is the man off gate number 4. Just going to try and make something special happen here for Swindon, or will Harris in red and Fricky blue do the business? And the red lights are on again.
Morris again.
The red lights are on for a second time here.
Morris again, I think.
Right, so Graham Flint will have to take a look at it. The 2-minute time allowance is on, and the riders are saying they want to go back to the pits because it's a second restart. All 4 again, and a warning to the rider in white, Nick Morris. If he does that again, he's out of the race.
I can smell a clutch that's almost burnt out, so somebody's going to have problems here in the rerun. You can smell it in the air, that will be curtains for somebody. I'm not sure who it is, but somebody's clutch is about to give up the ghost.
Yeah, you can smell it from here too.
Yeah, it's finished. He won't be able to, I doubt very much he'll be able to race with any real intent. It's either Nick Morris, maybe it's Nick Morris who's having some clutch problems, but the 2 minutes are on, so one of these boys is going to be in trouble. Mechanics have been allowed out there, but maybe it's Peter. Morris is just having the clutch adjusted. The springs are being wound in. Todd Kurtz, they're just mechanicking for him this evening. Rides for Plymouth in the Premier League, but just winding in half a turn just to see if that clutch will work sufficiently well enough for him to complete the race.
Yeah, you could smell the clutch burning from here. Should the referee, with 2 restarts, should the referee have allowed a bit of extra time?
I think conditions and the fact that we've had a delay already, Nigel, I think that's the reason why the 2 minutes have gone on, but somebody's clutch was borderline there.
OK, well, let's see what happens here. Then a warning for Nick Morris. I think that's what Alan Rossiter's just told him as well. But you have to behave yourself at the start line here, Nick. This is the 3rd attempt to stage this race. 1917, Swindon lead. The winners tonight will book their place in the playoffs. A draw, and both will book their place in the playoffs, joining the Poole Pirates. Then it goes down to next week. Bellevue at Wolverhampton on Monday. And Kings Lynn have got to rearrange a fixture with Swindon themselves next week.
Tell you what, the 3 teams that almost certainly are going to be in the playoffs after tonight, the Pirates, the Robins and the Bees, those 3 teams are going to be tough to call a winner from the playoffs from them. Very competitive outfits. This meeting, very close indeed.
There we go, heat number 7, and the tapes go on pretty quickly there. Nick Morris has gone down in the first turn, and the red lights are on for a 3rd time. Nick Morris is down, but he's up, which is good to see. Will that be an all-4, or will he disqualify somebody?
Definitely. Clash going in the first corner, no reason to think that won't be all-4.
Well, Graham Flint will take another look.
I think Nick Morris's clutch is done. You know, he drops the clutch here and the bike doesn't go forward very well at all. There's a bit of argy-bargy with Harris. He's leaning into them. Max Frick is in it. It's a classic first corner bunching. No reason to think he won't be allowed back in the rerun.
Well, there's no exclusion light at the moment. So, a little bit frustrating, has to be said, but this is a first turn incident, a classic first turn incident. And I'll tell you what, Max Frick did well to avoid Nick Morris there as well.
He did, because he could see him sliding across in front of him. It's confirmed now that all 4 will be back in the rerun, and that's pretty much what we expected. It's just the meat in the sandwich there, and Frick, the tricky conditions, could easily have found himself on his backside. This might just give them the opportunity to do a little bit of work on the bike. Mechanic going to ride the bike back to the pits. Interested to see how much time they give him.
Yeah, there will be some delay now because the riders have gone back to the pits, which is understandable. 3 stoppages for heat number 7. It's very keenly contested. It's both sides know what's at stake here tonight. It is, yeah, very close. And when you bear in mind that this meeting could easily have been called off, it's a bonus.
Yeah, it is very much so, and I've got to say credit to all 4 team riders. They are giving their utmost, and with just the 2 points in it, Swindon riding well, putting a lot of pressure on the Bees.
Well, the 2 minutes is on. There you go, right behind us. Let's hear from Alan Rossiter, the Swindon manager, with Chris.
Thanks, Nigel. Alan, a lot of refereeing decisions at the moment, mainly around the start, but obviously Nick Morris was accused of jumping the start twice. Not excluded. Somebody just clearing out change of Nick Morris's bike there, but obviously what you're saying is he didn't jump the first one, so the referee could hardly exclude him second time round.
Exactly, he made a perfect start, but you know, the first race, chasing Garrett, he went miles before everybody else, and he let it go, and because the phone wasn't working, we couldn't speak to him. And you know, he said, "Yeah, I've got it logged," but you know, if they're jumping, they've got to move. Yeah, he moved it fractionally that time, but the first one was just a perfect start. So, you know, I don't believe he should have been excluded anyway.
There is a trend for jumping the start. A lot of guys consistently jump the start, or at least tried to, and it seems to have made the referees a little bit paranoid, and starts like Nick's first one that are just perfect, good reactions seem to be pulled back.
Exactly, you know, who'd want to be a referee? I certainly wouldn't. I've had enough rows with them over the years.
But your lads, they weren't the keenest of the 2 teams ahead of the meeting, but fully committed.
No, I disagree there. We walked the track and we said it was very wet, and in between 10 to 7 and 10 to 8 the track was quite dry. So, well, not quite dry, still very wet, but you know, we certainly had no qualms. You know, we just come back in and we said, yeah, we've got to go for it, we go for it. Simple as that.
Thanks, Alan.
Cheers.
Well, an interview that's quite interesting. I don't fully agree with what Alan's just said there, because I think they were the ones that wanted it to go back half an hour. I sense that you know, Coventry would have started at 7:30. So they were a little reluctant. I think Coventry came in and said, right, we're racing. Swindon just took a little bit more persuading, but once they were persuaded and once the decision was made, then to all intents and purposes, they have come to the party. And I do think that the conditions are actually helping the away team right now.
So here we go. It's the fourth staging of heat number 7. 1917. The lead is with the visitors here, and it's first turn again, very, very close, and I thought somebody was going to go down, but the lead is with Max Frick here. Killerman is second. Chris Harris has come through into third, ahead of Nick Morris, and if it stays like this, a 4-2 will level this meeting up after 7 heats. And now Killerman, you get a feeling, is going to charge hard after the young sensation Max Frick.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know how Chris Harris and Nick Morris stayed on going to the first corner. It really was. They were almost fighting each other as they went to the first corner. Kilderman's in second place with Harris coming on really hard in third. He's right out by the air fence and possibly too wide, getting himself in trouble. Max Frick is doing an outstanding job coming in to replace Jonas Kilmacorpi, who is out injured this evening with a back injury he sustained last week. Frick looking good, Kilderman hanging on to second place. The meeting's getting awfully tight once again.
Yep, the lead then is with Max Frick, super guest tonight, a star guest indeed.
Yep.
For the Coventry Bees in blue. Max Frick's going to level the match after 7 heats. Peter Killerman second, third was Chris Harris, levels it all up. Nick Morris, who was pulled back and warned at the start of the race on a couple of occasions there, finishes at the back. But we have got a good match on our hands here.
We have.
It's level pegging after 7 heats. Which way will it go? Reminder, if it is a draw, both sides qualify for the playoffs.
I don't think they're thinking about that now. I think they want to win, and Max Frick is unbeaten in his 2 rides, and he's doing sterling work for the Bees, enjoying himself in these tricky conditions. But when we see the replays of when they go to the first corner, Harris and Morris, crikey, that was they should have been in a ring for that one.
Yep, Max Frick the winner with Peter Killerman second. Third was Chris Harris and Nick Morris at the back. It's a 4-2 to Coventry. They level it. 7 heats gone now. It's 21 apiece.
It takes up. Keep your eyes on the boys on the inside. Now, bang, bang. They're all over the place, and it continues through the first corner as well. Nick Morris just trying to keep Chris Harris at bay, but he can't. Kilderman into second place. Once again, Morris crashes into the side of Chris Harris. Then his legs all caught there. He could easily have gone down there, and there could have been another restart. Harris is out the back, but he manages to get to the inside. Kilderman coming around the outside of his teammate, but Max Frick, the young Australian, guessing this evening, doing a sterling job. He's unbeaten with Harris coming through the third place. It's all 21 points all. Super Speedway, an unexpected bonus we're enjoying this evening.
Yep, very much so. This meeting could have been off, but positivity from both sides now is really getting us through, and we're seeing some fascinating stuff, including a close scoreline between 2 playoff rivals. It's 21 apiece. Join us for heat number 8 when we come back. Heat number 8 is coming up. It's going to be a fascinating, for me, I think it's the most unpredictable playoff in the Elite League for some years, because there's been some years when we've gone into the semi-finals, and with all due respect, the semi-final results have been fairly easy to predict, Kel, but not this year.
I think one of them will be very tight, particularly if Poole do top the charts and Bellevue qualify. Then, of course, we will see these 2 teams in the semi-final, and that will be almost as good as a final.
Yep, very much so. Lots to look forward to on Sky Sports with the playoffs just around the corner. Here we go, Hans Anderson off the inside in red for Coventry. Going off gate number 2 in yellow is Charles Wright. James Sargent, gate 3 in blue, under the referee's microscope for starting procedures. And Aaron Summers is off the very difficult gate number 4 here for the Swindon Robins.
Yeah, Summers has been good, and he's going to have to be very good now, because the outside gate is still waiting to have its first winner. And even Peter Kilderman, although there was plenty of restarts, he couldn't win from there. So Summers will be needing to do something very special in this one.
Certainly will. The green light's on, and they're away this time, and the red lights are on yet again. Red lights on yet again here. How many restarts are we having? How many delays is that causing? Anyway, Graham Flint has called the race back once again. Kelvin, this isn't good for the watching public, is it?
No, it's not. It's James Sargent again. he's moving a little bit too early, and he's frustrated. He gestured to the referee. He moves slightly too early.
He must be guessing, Kelvin.
Yeah, he is, because the tapes, you can't react that quickly. So he's either counting, or he's just literally, well, he is just anticipating the start slightly. So he's getting very upset about it, but we've seen him quite a lot lately, and it's happened at least 4 or 5 times to him. So, yeah, it's frustrating, but he is just a fraction too quick on dropping the clutch.
Now, I just wonder, is there a warning going James Sargent's way? Because we saw it with Nick Morris.
Quite possible. It's the second time it's happened to James so far this evening.
Well, Gary Havelock is convinced that James Sargent's starts are perfectly legal, and it is just the way that James Sargent makes the gate.
Won't speak to me.
Gary Havelock saying the referee won't speak to him.
Several referees disagree with him, unfortunately, because he's getting pulled back every time.
Well, Sargent's just looking up at the referee's box.
I rode with Gary for several years. Gary didn't do that.
Right, okay. Never?
He may have done once or twice, but James Sargent, when we see him, he does it every time.
Okay, so is it a case, really, where he is guessing the start?
He must be, to a degree, yes.
Okay. The expert view of Kelvin Tatum, former rider. I'd be interested to get Chris Lewis' view on it as well. As a former rider too, maybe Chris can give us his expert view on the James Sargent starting situation too. Here we go, heat number 8, second time of asking. Now they're away first time, now the Bees are going to hit the first turn. Can they get a 5-1 here? Wright is third in yellow and black, and Aaron Summers this time is at the back. That was a good start from James Sargent and Hans Andersen, and Sargent will use this, no doubt, to fire a message back to the referee, back to his critics. He is leading the race superbly.
Yeah, James Sargent quite clearly frustrated and angry, makes it to the first corner. No red light this time, and he's out in front. Good stuff for the Coventry Bees here, because Hans Andersen has slipped into second place, and that's the ideal scenario. He'll be able to protect his younger teammate, less experienced teammate out in front. Charles Wright is having a go in third place, but this could be a turning point in the match. Could be the first 5-1, I think, Nigel, of the match, if it can just for another lap. Sargent out in front, Hans Andersen in second place.
Yep, Sargent looking superbly, the less senior reserve in the Coventry side. Garrity is the higher ranked reserve, but James Sargent, full credit to him here, pulling off a fantastic victory for the home side. Hans Andersen gets second place as well, and third on that occasion went to Charles Wright. Coventry are loving that after the way that the race was pulled back with James Sargent once again under the microscope of Graham Flint, the referee. That is a huge 5-1, and Coventry, who 2 races ago were 2 points down, now find themselves 4 points ahead.
Yeah, it was a significant move. You know, the home team have been under pressure throughout the night. There's only been a couple of points in it most of the time, so that's the first 5-1 of the night, and it goes the way of the home team. James Sargent doesn't see the red light that time, but he sees the checkered flag. Good ride from him.
Yep, James Sargent the race winner, Hans Andersen second, Charles Wright was third. And Aaron Summers that time trailing in at the back, the first time he's failed to score tonight. It's a big 5-1 and Coventry lead by 4.
Gate 4 is proving to be very difficult. Riders aren't winning races from there. James Sargent this time just gets away with it, gets to the first corner, and Hans Andersen joins him there. That's the perfect scenario. And on paper, I would say that the pairing with Hans Andersen coming into second place, that's the ideal scenario. And Aaron Summers, who had 5 points from his opening 2 rides, just couldn't land a blow. But Sargent out in front, and a 5-1 to the home team. That's a good move from them.
Well, great ride from James Sargent. Full credit to the young man. What has he got to say about it? Here's Chris.
Well, James, let's get over the important part first. 5-1, first one goes to the home team, 4-point lead.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Track's not best tonight. It's like it's a bit hard to pass really. If you make a gate, it makes it a lot easier. So yeah.
Okay, you brought me to my next question. Gates. We seem to see a lot of yours coming back. Referees obviously deciding you've jumped the start. Sometimes you do, but then sometimes you feel you don't. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean that one just then I didn't move at all. I just dropped clutch, went perfect. Yeah, I think they're starting to look for me now. It's like like they're not looking at other riders and they're missing other people jumping. They're just looking for me. So it makes it a bit harder, but what can I do?
It obviously plays on your mind, but having said that, obviously with having that one brought back, it made you that much more determined.
Yeah, I don't think I should have been brought back for that. I thought it was a good start, but never mind. Managed to do it again. Usually I don't manage to do it again. I usually miss it, but...
Well, you guys are in front. Keep it going.
Cheers.
Well, interesting comments from James Sargent there. The referee's starting to watch him. What can he do about it? The reason referees are watching him is because he keeps doing it, I suppose, Kelv.
Yeah, he needs to be a bit more patient. When I've seen the replay of the race that was let go, it's still marginal. When you see the body language, he's ready to move before the tapes are going, but he got away with that one. But it's something he needs to just get in check.
Here we go then, heat number 9, Jason Garrity off the inside for Coventry. Peter Killerman goes off gate 2 in white. Kyle Howarth gate 3 in red for Coventry against his former club. Lewis Rose goes off the outside. Coventry lead by 4, and they've got gates 1 and 3 here. Can they make it count? You do feel a lot of pressure on the shoulders of Peter Killerman, this man in the white helmet colour.
Very much so, and he needs to make gate 2 work, because he had gate 4 last time and he got second place out of that, but gate 4 has been very difficult to do, and Lewis Rose goes from there, so Peter Killerman under pressure.
Here we go then, going into that first turn. Killerman has got a good start, but so has Garrity, and that has allowed Kyle Howard through, and Killerman has been sent right to the back, and Coventry have hit some great form all of a sudden. Jason Garrity in blue, Kyle Howard in red. The two talented young British riders are leading the way ahead of, Killerman's gone down. Peter Killerman has gone down. And Coventry are on a 5-1, and Killerman is not going to clear the track. Killerman is not going to clear the track. That is controversy. Huge controversy there. Well.
Kilderman wasn't happy about the first corner. Jason Garrity took him wide. It was a tough first turn. He had every reason to. Kilderman then went down the back straight. He was relegated to the back because he was in all the wet, slippery stuff on the outside. The management team from Coventry emotionally there, very passionate about the sport. Mick Horton there gesturing. Gary Havelock
Mick
quite
Horton
clear.
and Gary Havelock have just come over to the meeting steward in the pits like he's the 4th official at a football match.
Yeah.
And they have really got stuck in, and Peter Killerman getting booed by the fans. And you have to have a bit of sympathy for Coventry there. Killerman did make a meal out of getting back up, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tight run to the first corner, and Garrity has every right to go to the middle of the track. Kilderman goes very wide and goes to the back. That allows the two British boys to hit the front, and Kilderman seems to just sort of give up, and his motivation evaporates right from the word go, and he just slips off the bike as he comes in to start the second lap. You can see there's no commitment there, and he just slips off the bike, and really, truly...
He does get up as well, Kelv.
Yeah, he needs to get off the track.
He gets up and holds the bike up.
He has no reason not to get off the track there, and that's a bit naughty from Peter Kilderman.
Well. And at this stage, Killerman is still on the track. He's not quite cleared it. See there? He was up. This is where he gets up, and this is where the race is still going.
The bike's still running. There's absolutely no reason for him not to get off the track.
So why has he done that now? Why has he stood the bike up there?
He wants a restart, doesn't he?
Well.
He wants a restart.
Drama here, controversy as well. Peter Killerman disqualified from heat number 9. And it has to be said, if Coventry make a similar start in heat 9, they'll get a 5-1 anyway. But that's not the point, is it?
No, it's not. Obviously, you know, Peter Kilderman bigged him up before the meeting. He's been riding well, but he got pushed wide as he went to the first corner. Garrity was perfectly within his rights. He rode a hard first corner, but he didn't stuff him. It's very wet and greasy on the outside, and Kilderman gives up pretty much as he goes down the back straight. When he goes into the first corner for the second time, you can see he's not committed, just slips off. Should have just then got off the bike or got the bike to the infield and allowed the race to continue. Doesn't do that, and quite clearly upsets everybody.
Well, the referee cannot award a race that early. If it was later in the race, the referee could have awarded it, but not that early. He can't do it. It's not in the rules. I'm sure Gary Havelock's got a thing or two to say about it. He's with Chris.
I don't know what makes you say that, Nigel. Gary, obviously, Peter Kilderman making a protest about the first turn. He got run wide. Jason didn't do anything wrong. Perfectly able to do that. And he's been excluded. But would you like to see more done about it?
Yeah, I would, to be honest. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him excluded for the rest of the meeting. You know, it was quite obvious what he was doing. The bike was still running. I didn't even know that until I just watched the replay. But you know, I've already been told I can't talk to the referee anymore because he doesn't like what I'm saying. But you know, their riders are jumping a lot at the start, and the only person he seems to pull back is James Sargent. Again, you know, it's victimisation if you ask me, and it's shocking. I think I'll just put a bit of duct tape over my mouth, Chris, because I just talked myself into trouble.
Hang on, let me stop you there a moment. Just to talk about James Sargent and his jumping the start. I mean, sometimes he does, and it's quite clear, but the problem I have with it is he gets pulled back a second and a third time in the same meeting. Now, he should be excluded. The fact that he isn't means that they're not really sure, I guess.
Well, yeah, but it's what I always say, Chris, right? He doesn't roll, and he doesn't touch the tape. What's wrong? You tell me. You tell me what's wrong with that, because none of the rest of them are going to tell me.
Well,
they
I
just
guess
say he got a flyer. Well, the word flyer ain't even in the rule book.
I guess what they're saying is if he drops the clutch before the tapes move, he is moving when the tapes go up. But the fact that he doesn't get excluded for doing it 2 or 3 times, they're not really sure at that point, I guess.
I've had this problem all of last season and all of this season, and funnily enough, the Heat 3, I think, when they stopped the first one, because Sargent jumped, in the rerun, the guy off 3 was doing about 5 miles an hour when the tape set up. When I asked the ref, he said, oh, I didn't see it. Well, so the reason he never seen it was because he was too concentrated on looking at James Sargent.
Tell James to stop jumping the start ever, they won't watch it.
Oh, I'll never tell him that, because he doesn't.
Thanks, Gary.
Heat number 9. Entertaining off the track and on it this meeting. Jason Garrity off the inside. No rider off gate number 2. Kyle Howarth gate 3. Lewis Rose off the outside. Gary Havelock wants to see Peter Killerman thrown out of the rest of the meeting. Amazing stuff here.
Well, that won't happen, here we go for the rerun.
Yep, heat number 9 it is then. Now, can Coventry get the 5-1? Charles Wright charging hard around the outside. He's going to try and anticipate to come through here. A real battle for second spot. Now this is going to be cruel here, really, as far as Coventry are concerned. If they don't get the 5-1, Lewis Rose is battling away in the yellow and black helmet colour. And now he's been passed by Kyle Howarth. Rose will try and go back for more here. But, well, a 5-1 now for Coventry. And the Bees will argue justice was done here.
Yeah, absolutely. Garrity out in front. He's riding nicely. Howarth had to work very hard to get the better of Rose. He came charging up the inside. But, yeah, you could say justice has been done. Peter Kilderman's behaviour was out of order, making this race come to a red flag being shown rather in a rerun. But Garrity hanging off the side of the bike, Howarth coming in to join the Coventry Bees now. They're looking good, a 5-1, comfortable here.
Yep, looking good here. Jason Garrity all set for his second win of the night. And it's another 5-1. Coventry Bees now move 8 points ahead here at the Brandon Stadium. Kyle Howarth had to work really hard to get the better of Lewis Rose there on that occasion in second spot.
Wow.
And a well-deserved 5-1 for the Coventry Bees. The Bees management and fans will feel justice has been done on that occasion.
Absolutely, but the 2 5-1s have been very significant. All of a sudden the Bees have stamped their authority on this meeting, and the Swindon Robins are going to have to bounce back. Troy Batchelor and Aaron Summers in Heat 10 are going to have to come up with something special, but they are off gates 1 and 3, so it is possible. But all credit to the Bees. The Robins have put them under a lot of pressure this evening, and they've come up with 2 really strong rides.
They certainly have, and they have opened up a real gap now. Garrity and Howarth over Rose, 5-1. Coventry lead after 9 heats, 31 points to 23. What was really close, they've turned it around with a 4-2 and 2 5-1s. And that is a 10-point swing back in their favour to lead by 8.
Yeah, gates 1 and 3 are proving to be very useful. Garrity makes a smashing start off the inside and blocks the move there, of course, from Lewis Rose, who momentarily gets himself into second place. But Howarth comes roaring up the inside as they complete the first lap. And there you see the move quite clearly. He has to hang on because he runs very wide, and Rose thought for a moment about being able to repay the compliment, but all credit to Kyle Howarth. He hangs on for second place, and as you say, they've turned it around in the last 3 races, and for all the drama that's been happening this evening, it's just beginning to go the way of the home team.
Yeah, and if Coventry do go on and secure the win here, they will join pool as guaranteed playoff teams. Whoever wins this meeting, they will qualify for the playoffs. If it's a draw, both teams qualify for the playoffs, but Coventry with an 8-point cushion, 6 heats to go. They're going to take some stopping now, Kel.
They are indeed, and that makes Heat 10 very important for Troy Batchelor and Aaron Summers. The two Australians here are going to have to come up with something pretty special. Poole have absolutely demolished Kings Lynn tonight, 62 points to 30. That really is quite an emphatic win for the Poole Pirates. An emotional night down there, without question. But heat number 10, Summers and Batchelor have got to do the business.
Batchelor off the inside in white. Danny King goes off gate 2 in red for Coventry. Aaron Summers gate 3 in yellow for Swindon. Max Frick off the outside in blue, unbeaten so far. Kelvin Tatum, a man alongside me, 2 league titles he won as a Coventry Bees rider. Great times they were, Kelvin. I know you always have a soft spot for the Bees and always enjoy coming back here.
Yeah, I had 6 seasons here and it was a special time. And the 2 back-to-back league titles were a young team coming together, and we really had a fabulous run of form, which no question was the highlight of my British career here, domestically anyway.
Yep, heat number 10 coming up then. Max Frick riding beautifully. Here's Aaron Summers in the yellow and black helmet colour, got a last place in his last outing. This is heat number 10. This is Summers' last programme ride, by the way. The Australian for the Coventry, the Swindon Robins even, the former Coventry man. And Troy Batchelor off gate 1. Now, can Swindon make gates 1 and 3 count here? They're going to have to do something, or they're going to run out of time. Take tries. They've made a decent start now. So has Frick, but Frick has gone wide. Summers in yellow and black. Batchelor in white. It's going to need a bit of team riding. Danny King coming through. Has to get off the gas going into turn 3. This is going to need a bit of team riding from the Robins. Aaron Summers in yellow and black. Troy Batchelor in white. They're on a 5-1 going into lap 2. But Danny King isn't done yet, Kel.
He isn't indeed. He's having a real good go. He tried the inside line down the back straight on the opening lap and had to shut the throttle very abruptly because he was running out of room. Summers is having a super night, responding brilliantly here. He's running the edge of the dirt. All of a sudden, track conditions are improving. They're being able to use the dirt a little bit wider. This is a big response here from the Robins. Big turnaround, certainly in the last 3 heats for the home team, but credit to the Robins. They're bouncing back here.
Yeah, bouncing back in some style. Aaron Summers, a replacement for Edward Crutchmar, an inspired signing. This is going to put him on to 8 points from 4 rides, and Swindon back within 4 of the home side. Swindon aren't done just yet, folks. 5 heats to go. And remember, these sides meet again tomorrow at the Abbey Stadium at Blunsdon in Swindon. Robins against the Bees tomorrow night. That's going to be one heck of a night there as well. Should be a big crowd at Swindon tomorrow for that one.
Absolutely. What a ride that was from Aaron Summers. He failed to score in his previous ride off gate 4, just as Max Frick has just done. So difficult to get round the outside this evening, but the track is beginning to develop. More racing lines are beginning to appear, but Summers, who missed out for a large part of this season without an elite league club, people will be kicking themselves now because the man has turned up for the Swindon Robins and is riding fabulously.
Quite clearly, gates 1 and 3 work. Aaron Summers, the race winner. Second place is Troy Batchelor. Third, Danny King. It's a 5-1 to Swindon. And Coventry lead by 4, 32-28.
Brilliant stuff from the Robins boys here. There was a bit of movement on the inside there from Troy Batchelor. We could have seen another restart there. No question he gets away with that. Max Frick very nearly got the better of Summers as they go to the first corner. But look at Danny King very nearly running in the side of Batchelor. Thought better of it. As they get to the first corner, Frick on the outside gets buried in the deep stuff on the outside in the first corner. Batchelor, who was moving on the inside, gets away with it. Danny King down the back straight has to think better of this. He was no way, if he'd gone on there, he would have just literally cleaned Batchelor up. Great response from the Robins. They needed it. They just had 2 5-1s against them, and they turned that around now with a 5-1 for themselves. 4 points in it. This meeting is really now becoming on a knife edge. It's a really close contest.
Yeah, very much so. 4 points the difference between the two sides here. 5 heats to go. We're in for a grandstand finish. The winners tonight qualify for the playoffs. Join us for heat number 11 next. What a meeting here at Coventry. Could so easily have been called off, but we delayed the start till 8 o'clock. Both captains, both team managers agreed that was the right thing to do. We've got a close scoreline. We've had several starts called back. We've had a rider accused of deliberately staying down to get a restart. It's had a bit of everything here, and we've got 5 heats to go, and the winner of this meeting will qualify for the playoffs. Coventry 32, Swindon 28, 5 heats remaining here, and Chris Louis is with the Swindon manager, Alan Rossiter.
Alan, a couple of 5-1s midway through the meeting can knock the stuffing out of a team, but not you boys responding straight away with a 5-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think the gates are a bit imperative at the moment. Gates 2 and 4 seem pretty hard to get off of at the moment. 1 and 3 seem to be working really well, and we've now got to take our chances. Now we've got to run 1 and 3s, and hopefully we can capitalise on it.
And not only that, you've got choice in Heat 15 as well, so possibly 4.
Yeah, that's it. I say, you know, as long as we all come out nice and safe and we get a point tonight, you know, job done, really.
I guess, you know, you're 4 points down. Conditions have been tough, but you're going to be looking for more than that. I mean, it's about building confidence coming into the playoffs as well.
Oh yeah, well, we're fine, but everybody's just riding, you know, just using their head tonight. You know, we don't. Nobody wants to get any injuries. We've had enough of them this year. So, you know, the riders just using their head. It's a long way to go yet.
Thanks, Anne.
Cheers.
And a result from just up the road in the National League: Birmingham Brummies 46, Eastbourne Eagles 43. And that is a major result for Birmingham Brummies in their bid to be crowned National League champions. And they got a 5-1 in Heat 15 through Adam Ellis and Zach Bucknecht to get the win for the Birmingham Brummies at Perry Bar. What a night that was. As we build up to Heat number 11 here at the Brand Medium, and still we don't know who is going to come through this meeting. 5 races to go, and Swindon have the important 1 and 3 here. Morris off the inside in white, Chris Harris gate 2 in red for Coventry, Gregor Zangotta gate 3 in yellow for Swindon, and Kyle Howarth going off the outside in blue for the Coventry Bees. Heat number 11, close scoreline. Pretty good meeting tonight, Kel.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's been really good, and it was all doom and gloom at the beginning of it, but now all of a sudden it's been well worth the wait. Morris and Harris were clashing heavily last time. They were having a punch-up almost going to the first corner. Morris and Harris certainly both very forthright and committed riders. Look how much gap there is between them. Here we go, 1 and 3. Will it work again?
Yep, big race coming up then here. Heat number 11 into that first turn, and Swindon have made the trap. They're on a 5-1 right now, but charging up the inside, Chris Harris. What a move from the Coventry skipper. He's just picked off Mick Morris.
Oh, he's out of
loses
shape.
control, and that allows Morris back through. Zangotta, the former Coventry man, has the lead. Nick Morris, who had a brief spell as a Coventry man as well, is holding second, but Harris isn't quite done yet. Swindon on a 5-1, stays like this, it'll be level with 4 to go.
Yeah, Morris is vulnerable though. Harris is coming on strong. Harris very nearly got off the bike, all out of shape. Morris now moving a little bit wider, that might work out for him, but Harris, keep your eyes on him in 3rd place. Zangotta, we haven't seen the best of him so far this evening, but he's out in front this time. Harris and Morris, there's a lap to go. Can Morris hang on for that second and all-important 5-1 for the Robins?
Yeah, the lead is with Gregor Zangotta, who's been a regular double-figure scorer for the Swindon Robins this season. He's got the lead. He's going to be followed home by Nick Morris, and what a meeting this is now with 4 to go. The Swindon Robins have just levelled it. They were 8 points down after 9, 2 5-1s to the visitors, and it's level after 11 heats here at Brandon in a meeting which, remind you, could so easily have been cancelled because of the rain.
Absolutely.
The boys have got stuck in, and it's level now.
Well, it's you can do it, so can we. They've bounced back with consecutive 5-1s, and Zangotta, who'd been quiet so far this evening, comes up with an all-important win out of gate 3, and Morris joins him. Harris tried everything he could, but he couldn't get in amongst the big points.
Yep, Harris was threatening there, but then lost control of the bike for a moment, and that allowed Morris back through. A 5-1, Coventry Bees 33, Swindon Robins 33.
Yeah, Zangotta coming out of gate 3 gets there alongside Nick Morris's partner. Harris, you know, is going to give it all, and he gets up the inside down the back straight initially and comes roaring into 2nd place, but as he goes into the bottom corner, he runs into the dirt, all out of shape, pulls 2 big lockers out there, unbelievable, and that allows Morris to come through into 2nd place. We're seeing it once again. Harris working the bike overtime down the back straight on the opening lap. Roars into turn 3. Bike out of shape. Leg off the back of the bike. Straightens up. Now it locks up again. He's remarkably lucky he stays on there. Real survival instinct kicking in there. Harris then battles really hard with Morris to try and put pressure on the young Australian as the race comes through to its conclusion. Zengotto the pole out in front, rides brilliantly, and that's more like it from him. 2 big 5-1s to Swindon. The race meeting is all level.
Yeah, massive result for Swindon there in heat number 11, and the race winner Gregor Zengotto is with Chris Louis.
Thanks, Nigel. Gregor, a great race, tricky conditions, but Swindon right back in it to a level now.
Yeah, track is really wet, so this race is really hard, and now I win. I'm find the best setup on this track because it's different like normal, so it's not easy, but now I think that it's okay. My bike is fast, so yeah, I can do my job.
Good stuff, well done.
Thank you, bye.
Yeah, big win for Gregor Zengotto there. Heat number 12 is coming up, and Coventry have to be favourites in this one. They're off gate 1 and 3. It's a repeat of heat 2, which was a 3-all. Here we go, James Sargent off the inside, much talked about tonight. Lewis Rose goes off gate 2 in yellow for Swindon. Jason Garrity, gate 3 red for Coventry, and Charles Wright off the outside for Swindon. Kelvin, the gates 1 and 3 for the Coventry boys here. You have to fancy them to get a race advantage.
It's an advantage, that's for sure, and on paper they've got an advantage as well because Sargent and Garrity are the stronger of the 2 reserves. Gate 3 is outstanding. Gate 4 still no race winners from there, and you've got to say that Charles Wright is going to go for there, and he'll need to do something a bit special to get the better of Garrity, who's coming out of the favourite gate so far this evening. So an opportunity for the Bees here to just resist that momentum that the Robins have had in the last 2 heats.
Here we go, heat number 12, big race coming up for the reserves now, and it's a great start from the man in yellow, Lewis Rose, charging hard. Rose has that advantage, and Garrity, and now Sargent through for a 3-all as it stands. The man in white is Charles Wright having a go, and Garrity holds the inside line. Wright's come around the outside. James Wright has just passed James Sargent. Now there's a real battle on. Swindon are on a 4-2. What a turnaround this match has had.
Well, fantastic stuff from Lewis Rose. Makes a superstar out of gate 2. Jason Garrity beginning to wind it on in second place. Charles Wright is hanging on in third. Garrity putting Rose under so much pressure out in front. There's mileage in that battle right to the checkered flag, I fancy. But what a turnaround in fortunes. Can they hang on here at the Robins? They really are putting the home team to the sword.
This is a wonderful effort from Lewis Rose, who's only just back from injury. He was replaced by Robert Bramford in the Swindon side. They brought Rose back in, and with 3 heats to go, Swindon are going to retake the lead. Lewis Rose, what a ride. Jason Garrity second. Third in white was Charles Wright.
Wow.
So much for me saying that Coventry were favourites for that one.
Well, I agree with you, so we both got it wrong. And there's no doubt that the Swindon Robins quite clearly heard us and thought, no, we're going to do a little bit better than that. And all credit to Lewis Rose. We saw him have that really nasty crash at Swindon about 6 weeks ago, I think it was, and he broke his skateboard, and this is his first meeting back. Far from ideal conditions, but he will be buoyed with that, and his confidence will be boosted. And that was a terrific ride under a lot of pressure from Garrity, who is dynamite in heats 2 and 12, you've got to say, and a good ride from Wright as well. 37-35, what a night.
Yep, superb stuff. Heat number 12, Lewis Rose the winner, Jason Garrity second, Charles Wright third, James Sargent at the back. It's a 5-1 for Swindon, and it's a 4-2 to Swindon, I should say, and Swindon lead by 37 points to 35.
Yeah, Garrity then runs up and blocks the move of Wright, but that allows Lewis Rose to get his wheels in line and gets the better of the opposition as they go down the back straight on the opening lap. A calm first corner here from Rose. Right out wide is Garrity trying to work the dirt, but it doesn't work well enough. Sargent then gets passed by Charles Wright as they go into the bottom corner here. Sargent rides the inside, and all credit to Wright, he just gets that momentum, and as they complete the first lap, the Swindon rider gets through into third place. What a ride from Lewis Rose. That really was a super ride, and you can see the passion in Alan Rossiter.
What a meeting here, and here's Chris Louis.
Thanks, Nigel. Lewis, first meeting back. Tricky conditions for that. You wouldn't have been looking forward to it when you could see how bad the track was before we started, but you've had a great night and a great important race win there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm really happy with our tonight win. Made some good starts. I've been working a lot on the bikes in the week with Macy and stuff, so it all helps, and I'm still learning bits with the bike. So, but
you kept the back wheel just in the edge of the dirt. You must have heard Jason Garrity pushing all the time.
I heard him coming. I thought he was going to dive bomb me a bit, but just clipping the dirt and it keeps sending you forward. So yeah, it worked out right.
Great performance, well done.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, what a night here at Brandon. Swindon have the lead, but Coventry are now safe in the knowledge that they are in the playoffs, because just to remind you, if you have just joined us, that Kings Lynn have been beaten at Poole tonight without gaining a consolation away league point. They've been heavily beaten. They haven't gained a point, and because they haven't scored a point at Poole tonight, it does now mean that the Coventry Bees are assured of a playoff place. Now, if Swindon can go on and get a draw or win this meeting, they will join them. We will know 3 of the 4 qualifiers by the end of tonight. Zengotta off the inside, Frick off 2, Batchelor off 3, Harris off the outside in red, and although Coventry have qualified for the playoffs tonight, with Kings Lynn failing to score a point, they will be desperate to get a result here in front of their own fans.
They won't want to be beaten by Swindon twice in about a 3-week period, Nigel, and there's no doubt that Swindon are going to have a big part to play. Coventry Bees are going to really go for it here, I'm sure.
Yep, and it's Coventry off gates 1 and 3, and it's a good start. Oh, Batchelor surely going to go down, and he has. And I'm quite sure that, well, the red lights have not gone on, they have now. The red lights have gone on, approaching turn 3, just as Chris Harris and Max Frick were on a 5-1.
And that would suggest that Troy Batchelor could well be excluded for that, because Graham Flint, the referee, didn't put the red light on immediately, because Batchelor, who's coming out of gate 3, allows the bike, or has to go in actual fact, because Max Frick is pushing him, runs really into there. On that evidence, he may be put back, but he didn't put the red lights on again. Let's have a look at it here. Batchelor white helmet colour into the dirt here. Max Frick coming across. There's no contact. Yeah, get the feeling that Batchelor will be excluded for that.
Well, we await confirmation from the referee, but just to remind you, the red lights did not go on until the riders were entering the 3rd turn when Coventry were on a 5-1. White is disqualified. Troy Batchelor has gone, so Troy Batchelor is thrown out of the restart. It's all the pressure now on Gregor Zengotta off the inside gate for Swindon, because Troy Batchelor in white here is deemed the cause of the stoppage and is disqualified.
Yeah, he does, and it's unfortunate for Batchelor. He was there. There was no contact between him and Frick. The dirt has built up on the outside. It's very heavy, and he just came off the slick surface on the inside, hit the berm of dirt, and it caused him to straighten up, and he got off the bike. You can see he's absolutely covered his Kevlars. Can't really discern what colour they are at all, apart from the brown colour of the shale. But that's a shame for the Robins, because they were looking strong. A 2-point lead certainly gives the Bees the opportunity for a heat advantage in the rerun. You can see there quite clearly, they can see where the shale has moved. It's right down to the base there in the mid part of the track, but there, the deep, heavy material on the outside, which is beginning to dry, it goes very tacky and heavy, and that's why Troy Batchelor just straightened up.
Well, 1 or 2 interesting decisions tonight, and I'm sure Alan Rossiter can give us his view on that one with Chris.
Yes, unfortunately, referees' decisions has been the big talking point tonight. Troy Batchelor being excluded from that one. Any complaints, Alan?
Go to Specsavers.
No, it's tough out there tonight, and conditions are really tricky. So, you know, he's called it. I'm not going to argue.
For what it's worth, I mean, Max Frick won the race to the dirt. Troy obviously just sort of got himself in a muddle. Obviously, Max had run across the track, but no contact. It's a bit harsh to maybe to exclude Troy given the conditions, but should they take the conditions into account?
I think they should do, but he's made his decision, so got to abide by the rules.
OK, thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
And breaking news, it's just started to rain again.
Oh, thanks for that. Appreciate your positivity. No, I think that, you know, unfortunately there, Batchelor just got himself in a bit of trouble. Max Frick, who's riding well, it is just beginning to drizzle. Let's hope that doesn't come down heavy and we can complete this meeting, because it's been really quite entertaining when it was all looking like we might not actually have a race meeting. It's proved to be quite an entertaining night. Zengotta on the inside for the Robins has got to come up with a special ride. There's plenty of dirt down there, deep ruts as well on the inside, and he rode very well last time to win in fine style, and Zengotta is more than capable of winning this race, but he's up against that man, Harris, who rides nicely here. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Harris comes up with a big ride now.
Yep, very much so. So here we go with the lineup for Heat 13. Zengotta is the sole Swindon rider. Frick off gate number 2 for Coventry. No rider off 3. Chris Harris going off the outside for the Coventry Bees. A reminder elsewhere tonight, Poole have beaten Kings Lynn, and Kings Lynn haven't scored a point, which means Coventry are in the playoffs. And now going into this one, Zengota has made a good start. Harris is going to try and nibble up the inside, but Zengota holds his nerve. How Swindon would love Zengota to hold on here and go into the last two heats with a 2-point lead. But Max Frick in blue and Chris Harris in red will give it everything going into lap 2.
Well, Zengota, he's got plenty of character in him and determination, because he made a really good call there. He's an intelligent rider. The first time he went too wide and it was looking like a 5-1 to the Bees. This time he held his nerve, he held the inside and he hung on. Frick's coming on strong with Harris back in third place, with the Polish rider Zengota in fine form and coming up with a really good ride here in Heat 13.
Yep, Heat 13 and the rain coming down here at the Brandon Stadium. 1 lap to go. Gregor Zengota has that lead for the Swindon Robins. This would put him on to 8 points from 4 rides and it'd be a second successive win. And he's carrying all the pressure with no colleague here. Great ride from Gregor Zengota, former Coventry rider. Good ride, good win. Second place Max Frick, Chris Harris was third. And now Swindon, with a 2-point lead with 2 heats to go, know that as long as the last 2 heats see 4 laps completed with 3 riders, they are going to get a consolation point at least.
Hello. Just a little word for you. Yeah. All night, the start marshals stopped the riders going close to gate 3. You've seen it twice now. Now, he let Chris Harris go right on gate 3 that time, mate.
All right, I'll keep an eye on it, Alan. He's in charge of the start line, though.
Yeah, but he's absolutely weak as pea.
All right, I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't allow their riders to go all night. He stopped our riders, Kilderman, Charles Wright, and off of gate 4, and that's the only bit that's worked.
Right, okay, I'll have to keep an eye on it, but he's the man that's in charge of the start line, though,
yeah,
so...
you need to bring him down to tell him, please.
All right, cheers.
Quick point from Alan Rossiter there, and not quite sure, but just in case, we have to say apologies if there was anything that may have offended you there. Gregor Zengota, Max Frick, Chris Harris. It's a 3-all, Coventry 38, Swindon 40. 2 heats to go. Massive Heat 14 coming up with rain coming down, Kel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really quite tense, tough stuff. It's been a terrific night, and particularly the way that the Robins have battled their way back into the meeting. When it went out to 8 points for the Coventry Bees, it looked like the writing was beginning to be put on the wall, but all credit to the Robins, they battled right back, and they now have a slender lead with just 2 heats to go.
So here we go with Heat 14. Peter Killerman goes off the inside in yellow and black. Hans Anderson goes off gate 2. Nick Morris is the rider off gate 3 for Swindon in white. Danny King going off the outside in red. The rain is just drizzle at the moment, so the riders are getting on with it. Just a reminder, Poole 62, Kings Lynn 30. That result, with Kings Lynn coming away empty-handed, means Coventry are assured of a playoff place. And in the National League, Birmingham have beaten Eastbourne 46-43. 3 points for Birmingham, 1 for Eastbourne. Birmingham edging closer to the National League title in a real Perry Bar humdinger. Here we go, Heat 14, big race coming up.
Yeah, great lineup for Heat 14. Not often you see an ex-Grand Prix rider and a current Grand Prix rider in Heat 14, but we have here Hans Anderson and Peter Kilderman on gates 1 and 2, respectively. Morris on gate 3. Once again, gates 1 and 3 could prove to be decisive here with Danny King on the outside. Real tense stuff here. Home team really having to dig deep now.
Killerman, who was disqualified for causing the stoppage in his previous race. Now it's a good start from Morris in white. Killerman is a man in yellow, but what about Danny King in red? What a move! That is superb from Danny King. Right out of the top draw for the Coventry man. Hans Anderson is at the back right now. Anderson really needs to pick off one of the Swindon riders. Killerman is in yellow and black. Nick Morris is in white. The lead is with Danny King. And now Hans Anderson going close. Almost clattering into Nick Morris.
How close was that? Fantastic effort from Danny King, who hasn't enjoyed a great night. Hans Anderson slamming into the side of Nick Morris. Really ruthless stuff going on just to the point. Home team under so much pressure. Anderson now gets into 3rd place. Morris battling hard with him. It's neck and neck into the bottom corner.
Well, this is great Speedway going into the last lap. If it stays like this, it'll be level. The lead is with Danny King. 2nd place, Peter Killerman. Hans Anderson is still having a nibble on the inside line. Nick Morris is at the back. The win is going to be with Danny King, and he deserves it. That was a wonderful ride. Killerman 2nd. 3rd is Hans Anderson, and it's level with 1 race to go. What a meeting here at Brandon tonight.
Fabulous stuff there. Danny King just let the bike run round the first corner in the dirt, and he just swooped around the opposition and fired himself to the front. He's been out of sorts so far this evening, but comes up with a hugely important win in Heat 14 when there was such strong opposition on the inside of him. Could well be the first Heat win from the outside. All credit from Danny King. What a ride also from Hans Andersen. A ruthless ride to get the better of Nick Morris. Clouted the side of the Australian midway through the race and forced his way into second place. Real commitment out there in Heat 14, and we've got a last heat decider.
Fantastic. 42 apiece. And what a race from Danny King in red. Second place, Peter Killerman. Third was Hans Andersen. Nick Morris at the back, a 4-2 to the Bees. Levels, Coventry 42, Swindon 42. And for me, this was the ride of the night by Danny King.
Fantastic first corner from King. Off the outside, nobody's won there, and that was a hugely brave performance. He was being pushed so hard by Nick Morris. Kilderman in second place. Morris comes into third, but what's the first corner? He's there, he allows the bike to sit on the edge of the dirt, and the bike hooks up and fires him to the front as they roar down the back straight on the opening lap. Great stuff here from Hans Andersen. Look at this. Slams into the side of him, pulls a big wheelie as well. Morris can't believe it. Really strong riding from Hans Andersen. He then comes back for more. He wasn't really settling for that. And finally, he makes that move. He keeps coming at him, but he does actually get the better of Nick Morris. Morris in the middle of the track, just in no man's land, and this time the move works from Hans Andersen. It's very close as they go down the back straight again. Terrific battle just for a point, but King out in front. That was a hugely important win for the Englishman.
Let's get some reaction with Chris Louis.
Yeah, these boys are determined not to get beaten by Swindon for a second time. And Nick Morris, well, he wasn't getting out of the way, was he? But you tended to move him out of the way in the end.
Yeah, his conditions are pretty difficult, you know, and Nick kept, you know, he was so slow off the corners and he kept coming back on me, so I thought, well, give him a little bit of a nudge and make my way through. But, you know, it's a vital point. I think it's puts us level, so it's all up for the next race.
As you say, you nudged into him down on the bottom corner, but in turns 1 and 2, using a rut there on the inside, which was pretty brave given the conditions, but it worked perfectly.
Yeah, the track is not easy. It's all right if you're like Danny, you can just ride that dirt line, but, you know, not everyone can be in the same place, so I just tried something different and it worked.
Great stuff, well done, Hans. And Danny, well, pressure's on. You needed a race win. You go off the worst gate. Just to tell you, Gate 4 hasn't won a race all night, and away you go.
Yeah, I only just got there. It was a bit tight, but it makes a big difference when you're in front. The first bit of fresh air I've had all night, and it's the best I've felt. So, yeah, obviously gating's key tonight, so hopefully we can make a start in this last one.
You had to drop the elbow down there on, I think it was Peter Kilden, I'm not sure who it was, but you had to drop the elbow down on him. You didn't want to go too deep in the dirt.
No, you can't, and luckily I just had a bit of an edge on him coming in the corner, so I controlled the race. So, yeah, I've got to go on getting called, but I've seen him.
Great stuff, well done, Danny.
Yeah, good stuff from Danny King, and just to confirm as well, because Swindon are assured of at least a point and Kings Lynn haven't scored a point tonight, both these sides now, Swindon and Coventry, are assured of a playoff place, and we've got a last heat decider. It's coming next. Welcome back to Brandon Stadium. This ride from Danny King was magnificent. Hans Andersen riding his luck like a bucking bronco. He did manage to come through, and a dramatic Heat 14 has levelled it up here. Into a last heat decider we go. Coventry Bees 42, Swindon Robins 42, on a night where both sides now have assured their place in the Elite League playoffs. Here's Chris Louis.
Thanks, Nigel. Alan, first of all, I've got to say, credit to both teams. It's been a cracking meeting. I mean, at 1 minute it looked like it wouldn't even go ahead, but full effort from both sides.
Yeah, I mean, full credit to both sets of riders. It wasn't pretty, but the job's done now.
And it's sort of pretty much just desserts that both you guys now, with the results at Poole going your way, you're both confirmed now into the playoffs.
That's good news. It's been a tough old season this year, and you know, I'm really pleased, you know, because the boys we've had some knocks this year, and we've bounced back really well, and I'm really proud of the boys.
And your choice for Heat 15?
Greg Zengotter in white and Peter Kilderman in yellow.
Good luck, thanks, Alan. And there's Javi. He's gone for a runner again, but Gary, it's been a cracking meeting, hasn't it? Considering it looked like it might not go ahead. I mean, both sides giving 100% and a little bit more.
yeah, fair play to all the riders. You know, I mean, it wasn't. Certainly wasn't ideal. I mean, it wasn't the worst I've ever seen. But yeah, they're both sets of give it everything. And I'm quite sure it's been a good meeting to watch.
Congratulations, well done, mate.
Cheers.
Here we go, heat 15, Gregor Zengotta off the inside for Swindon. Max Frick goes off gate 2 in red for Coventry as super guest. Peter Killerman, gate 3 in yellow. Not exactly Mr. Popular with the Bees fans tonight. Got a roundly booed as he made his way onto the track. And Danny King goes off the outside in blue. Kelvin, I think we'd all echo the two managers there. Credit both sides. They really have put on a super show.
Yeah, all 14 riders deserve a Blue Peter badge tonight because they've come to do the business, and fair play to them. Slightly surprised that Harris isn't in heat 15. King rode brilliantly last time, but he'd had a poor night up until then, I must say, so quite a brave move there, and King obviously feels he's up for another big ride here in heat 15. But Swindon have got gates 1 and 3, and that may just be enough for them to pull off a dramatic win here.
And these two could well meet again over the course of the next few weeks in the playoffs. Here we go, heat number 15. What a start from Max Frick in red and Danny King in blue. They have got the lead now, and a bit of team riding. Frick looking over his right shoulder. Nicely done here. Kilderman is the man in yellow.
Oh, very nearly running in the back of the opposition there, big time. Certainly, Danny King once again, clearly full of confidence after the ride in heat 14. Gates 2 and 4 suddenly coming alive. Frick, as you rightly said, made a fantastic start out of gate 2. A big 5-1 on the cards for the home team here, and they're going to finish with quite style here with a big 5-1.
Yeah, superb stuff here from Frick and King, riding quite beautifully. It looks like it's going to be another 5-1 to round the night off. Going into the last lap of heat number 15. It's Danny King with the lead, Max Frick in second place, third is Gregor Zengotta, and it's going to be a home win by a narrow margin in the last heat decider. Zengotta pulls up in third, that allows Killerman through, and the home side are delighted, the home fans punching the air with delight. We have seen a top night of action. Two fully committed teams in dreadful conditions. A meeting which was in jeopardy at 6:30, even by 7 o'clock when a final decision was made to go for it half an hour late. Well done to both sets of riders. They have been a great credit to themselves and the sport. But it's the Coventry Bees with Danny King and Max Frick who come through with a big 5-1.
Yeah, fabulous grandstand finish there, and the home team coming really good. Sharp away from the tapes in heat 15, and they dominated the race. Zengotta gave chase, but the bike gave up the ghost on the last lap in the last corner. But what a performance from Danny King in the last two rides. Chris Harris sits out heat 15. I was wondering whether he should have been in it. He didn't need to be, because Danny King comes up with a sensational ride round the outside in the first corner. Heat 14 and heat 15 goes the way for him. And you've got to say that the Bees have produced a brilliant result at the end of a very entertaining night. It's a credit to the sport tonight. It's an evening where quite on a lot of occasions we wouldn't have seen any action, Nigel. But we've been treated there. That's been quite a night.
Yeah, brilliant. And Danny King, where's he found that from late on?
Well, exactly.
He got 2 from 3 rides and then did that.
Well, that's why I question why he was coming out in heat 15, but Gary Havelock quite clearly felt that he could do the business, and he gave him the faith to do it and the confidence to do it, and he came up with a supreme ride, King. Back-to-back heat wins for him, and the Coventry Bees seal the night.
Yeah, Danny King the winner, Max Frick second, Peter Killerman was third, Coventry 47, Swindon 43. It means that Coventry get 3 league points, Swindon Robins take 1, and that result with Kingsland's defeat at Poole tonight confirms Coventry and Swindon, both teams tonight, are in the playoffs.
Super stuff from the Coventry Bees here in heat 15. Max Frick was absolutely fabulous away from gate 2. Danny King allowing the bike to run round the outside. Peter Kilderman very nearly running in the back of Max Frick down the bottom corner on the opening laps, and that put pace to his effort. Unfortunately for Zengotta, looks like he dropped a chain there right at the death. But Danny King and Max Frick, guesting tonight Max Frick, who's done a superb job for the Bees. But Danny King has ridden nicely for the Bees throughout the season, comes up with 2 sterling rides at the back end of the night, and that heat 15, he's the hero.
Yeah, great stuff. and celebrations for Coventry. And as we say, if these two are going to meet in the playoffs, you can't miss it. It will be a humdinger. They meet again tomorrow at Swindon in more league action. That should be a belter. Let's get some post-match reaction with Chris Louis.
A cracking last race from these two. Given results down at Poole, you actually didn't need the result here tonight in the end, but psychologically I think it was important, wasn't it, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, we did need it as a team. You know, Swindon beat us quite heavily last week. They pushed us very close again tonight, obviously last heat decider, but it's been really good to pull off a last heat, especially for me. I've been struggling early on, and it feels nice to get a few wins at the end.
But when there's a dirt line on the outside and it's starting to work and you need a man to get in it, Danny King is always going to be chosen. I mean, nobody had won off gate 4 and then you win the last 2 heats.
Yeah, I don't know, I just really tried to get it to the corner. Everything I had to put into the start and managed to get her twice. If I'd missed it, I'm sure it would have been a completely different story, but I managed to get her first.
Great stuff, well done, Danny. And Max, you had the foresight to have a little look and you knew it was Danny coming around the outside.
Yeah, I had a quick look and Danny was buried in the dirt, so he's he pulled around in front, which was awesome. It's nice to get a 5-1.
And it's going to be pleasing for you. You know, you've come in here and you've scored double figures and had a great night.
Yeah, it's good. You know, coming in at number 5, which I thought was going to be a bit tough, but you know, did all right in the end, and to get double figures, I guess can't complain with that too much.
Great stuff. Well done, Max.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, well done to the Coventry boys, but I think it's important to say as well, well done to both sides who really gave it a go and really entertained us this evening. It's been a super night, a meeting that could have been called off just before 7 o'clock. But Jim Lawrence, the meeting steward, had a chat with the team managers, had a chat with the captains, and it was decided to go for it at 8 o'clock with a delayed start. But I think it's fair to say, Kelvin, it was worth the wait.
It was, yeah, absolutely. It was looking really dicey at 7:30. It was very wet and very greasy, but all credit to everybody concerned. They made the right decision, and everybody, even with the restarts and some controversy, that hasn't dampened the spirits, has it at all? We've been royally entertained tonight, and the home team have gone away with a dramatic last heat victory.
What it means